The first time my son-in-law called me an extra mouth to feed, he didn't say it to my face. He said it loudly enough for me to hear from the hallway. "We can't keep carrying dead weight," he told my daughter. "She eats. She uses space. She does nothing. It's not my responsibility." Dead weight. I was standing there with a folded blanket in my arms, on my way to the guest room I'd been sleeping in since my surgery. My daughter didn't defend me. That hurt more than the words. I'm a retired American woman, 71 years old, widow. I raised my daughter alone after her father died, worked 2 jobs, missed birthdays, skipped meals so she could eat. I never once thought I'd be described like a line item on a grocery receipt. They'd invited me to stay temporarily. That word stretched from weeks into months. I cooked when I could, cleaned quietly, stayed out of the way. I learned how to exist without taking up space. Apparently, that still wasn't enough. That evening, my daughter knocked on my door. She wouldn't look me in the eye. "Mom," she said, twisting her hands, "we've been talking, and maybe it's time you found somewhere else." I waited. She didn't say sorry. "My husband is stressed," she continued. "Money's tight, and having another person in the apartment, it's just a lot." Another person. Not my mother. "I pay for my food," I said quietly. "I know," she replied quickly. "But it's not just that." She hesitated. "He doesn't want extra mouths to feed." There it was. Officiel now. I nodded. Not because I agreed, because I suddenly understood something very clearly. In their home, I wasn't family. I was an expense. I packed that night, carefully, slowly. I didn't want them to think I was angry. Anger would have given them an excuse. My son-in-law didn't help. He stood in the doorway scrolling on his phone while I zipped my suitcase. "Hope you figure something out," he said without looking up. I smiled. I always do. I slept in a cheap motel that night, the kind with buzzing lights and thin walls. I lay awake listening to strangers argue through drywall and thought about how easily people discard what they think has no value. What my daughter didn't know, what no one knew, was that I wasn't broke. I'd been quiet about my finances my whole life. Quiet people survive longer. 3 months. That's how long it took. 3 months of paperwork, phone calls, and patience. 3 months of letting them believe I was gone for good. By the time they realized I wasn't an extra mouth, I was their landlord. They never asked where I went. That was the strangest part. The morning after I left, my daughter sent one message. "Did you get there okay?" I replied with a simple yes. That was the end of it. No follow-up. No offer to help. No guilt strong enough to inconvenience her marriage. I stayed in that motel for 2 weeks. Not because I had to, because I wanted to think. Grief teaches you one thing very well: how to sit still without falling apart. Every morning, I walked to a small diner across the street. Same booth, same waitress. She didn't ask questions either, but she refilled my coffee without being asked. That felt like kindness. What my daughter didn't know was this. I had sold a small tech company with my late husband years earlier. Nothing flashy. Nothing public. We agreed early on that quiet money was safer than visible money. So we lived modestly. We kept accounts separate. We didn't talk numbers, especially not with family. People treat you differently when they think you need them, and even worse when they think you don't. After the motel, I moved into a short-term rental. Clean, quiet, temporary. Temporary is a powerful word when you choose it. That's when I started looking, not for a job, not for charity, for leverage. I met with a financial advisor I'd trusted for years. He didn't look surprised when I told him what had happened. "They usually don't ask," he said, "about money or about boundaries." "I don't want revenge," I told him. He smiled slightly. "Then don't rush." I spent my days reading listings. Apartment buildings, mixed-use properties, places owned by people tired of managing tenants. One listing kept reappearing. An aging brick building downtown. 6 floors. 22 units. Familiar address. Do familiar. I stared at the street name for a long time before it clicked. It was their building. The one my daughter and her husband rented in. I laughed out loud. Not because it was funny, because life has a dark sense of timing. I called the number. The owner was ready to sell. Health issues. Adult children who didn't want the hassle. We talked numbers. I didn't flinch. "What's your timeline?" he asked. "As soon as possible," I replied. That night, I lay in bed and thought about the phrase extra mouths to feed. About how casually it had been said, how easily my worth had been reduced to cost. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. 3 months. That's how long it took to close. 3 months of inspections, signatures, and silence. 3 months of my daughter believing I disappeared into something small and harmless. On the day the keys were placed in my hand, the seller smiled. "You're going to be a good owner," he said. I nodded. "I believe in fair arrangements," I replied. Fair doesn't mean generous. It means accurate. That evening, I drove past the building. Lights on, curtains open. Somewhere inside, my daughter was cooking dinner for a man who thought I was an expense. I parked across the street and sat there for a long moment. Not triumphant, prepared. Because when people push you out thinking you have nowhere to go, they rarely imagine you might come back owning the ground beneath their feet. I didn't tell anyone I'd bought the building. Not my friends. Not my relatives. And certainly not my daughter. Power works best when it arrives quietly. The management company handled the transition. New ownership. Routine notice. No names highlighted. Just paper slid under doors. I stood in the lobby the day they posted the announcement. 6 floors of scuffed tile and old mailboxes. A place I'd visited often bringing leftovers, babysitting favors, silence. No one recognized me anymore. That too was useful. 2 days later, my daughter called. Her voice was tight. "Mom," she said, "do you know anything about a rent increase?" I paused. "How much?" I asked. She swallowed. "Triple! Starting next month." I made a sympathetic sound. "That's awful," I said. "Have you talked to the landlord?" "They're impossible to reach," she snapped. "Some company." "A company, yes. One that answered to me." Her husband took the phone. I recognized his tone, immediately confident, condescending, used to being right. "This is ridiculous," he said. "We're good tenants." "I'm sure you are," I replied. He didn't catch it. "We might have to move," he continued, "with everything else going on." Everything else. Meaning the life they'd built on assumptions. "I hope it works out," I said gently. "Moving is stressful." Silence. Then my daughter's voice again. "Mom, you don't happen to know anyone who owns property, do you?" I almost smiled. "I know a few people," I said. "Why?" "Just thought I'd ask," she replied quickly. Too quickly. That evening, I reviewed the files. Rent history. Late fees forgiven. Repairs delayed. They'd benefited from kindness before, just not mine. I didn't enjoy what I was about to do. Enjoyment would have cheapened it. I signed the adjustment. Market correction, the paperwork called it. Fair for the area? Legal. Unarguable. 3 days later, my daughter showed up at my door. Not angry. Panicked. "We need help," she said, stepping inside without waiting for permission. I poured tea. I waited. "We can't afford this," she continued. "He's furious. He says it's not fair." I looked at her. "Fairness depends on perspective," I said. She stared at me, confused. "Why are you being so calm?" I met her eyes. "Because I've already been priced out once," I replied. Her phone buzzed. A message. She glanced at it and froze. "What is it?" I asked. She looked up slowly. "The owner's name," she said. "It's yours." The room went very quiet. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. I simply nodded. Yes, I said. I bought the building. Her face drained of color. You did this to us? She whispered. I set my cup down carefully. No, I said. I did this for myself. Her husband stormed in minutes later, red-faced, loud. You can't do this, he shouted. We're family. I looked at him steadily. Family doesn't call people extra mouths to feed, I said. He opened his mouth, closed it. You have two options, I continued calmly. You can pay the rent, or you can leave. My daughter's eyes filled with tears. You're punishing us, she said. I shook my head. I'm correcting the balance. They left without another word. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Not because I'd hurt them, but because for the first time, no one was feeding off me anymore. She didn't come back alone. That's how I knew what she was going to do next. The calls started that same week. My sister first, then a cousin I hadn't spoken to in years, then an old family friend who still mispronounced my name. They all said the same thing in different voices. What's going on between you and your daughter? You know she's under a lot of stress. Money changes people. Money does change people. It reveals them. My daughter had moved fast. She'd told everyone a version of the story where she was the victim of a cold, greedy mother who had lost touch with reality. She didn't mention kicking me out. She didn't mention extra mouths to feed. She didn't mention the motel. I didn't correct anyone. Not yet. I listened. I learned who believed her immediately and who asked questions. That mattered. At the building, reactions were mixed. Some tenants were angry. Some were resigned. Some were relieved that repairs finally started happening. Because the truth was, I wasn't a cruel landlord. I fixed things. Broken elevators, leaking pipes, unsafe lighting. The rent increase funded improvements the previous owner had ignored for years. My daughter's husband complained the loudest, threatened legal action, threatened to expose me. I welcomed the paper trail. One afternoon, I received an email from a tenants association. They wanted a meeting. Transparency, they called it. I agreed. The room was full when I arrived. 20 faces, different ages, different stories. I stood at the front and introduced myself. I'm the new owner, I said. I believe in clear rules and open communication. Murmurs followed. A man in the back raised his hand. Are you the reason rent went up? Yes, I said calmly. And here's why. I laid out the numbers. Costs, repairs, market comparisons. No excuses, just facts. Something shifted in the room. People may not like increases, but they respect honesty. After the meeting, a woman approached me quietly. I saw your daughter leave your apartment once, she said. With suitcases. I nodded. She sighed. I'm sorry. That was enough. That evening, my daughter sent a message. You're turning everyone against us. I read it once, then replied, I'm not turning anyone. I'm standing where I belong. She didn't respond, but I knew she wasn't done. People who lose control don't let go easily. They escalate, and she still had one weapon left, guilt. She came alone this time. No relatives. No chorus of concern. Just my daughter standing on the porch with a paper bag in her hands. I brought soup, she said, like we were rewinding time. I let her in. Boundaries don't require slam doors. She sat at the kitchen table and stared at her hands. I shouldn't have let him talk that way, she said quietly. About you. I waited. Real epilogy don't rush. He's under pressure, she continued. The rent, the repairs, everything changing at once. Everything changing. I noticed she didn't say kicking you out. I was scared, she added. I didn't want to fight with him. I nodded. Fear explains behavior. It doesn't excuse it. She finally looked up. Can we fix this? She asked. As family? There it was. The word used like a key. Tell me what fixing it looks like, I said. She hesitated. Well, she began carefully. Maybe you could adjust the rent, just for us, until things settle, until control returns. I shook my head gently. No, I said. Her eyes filled. So you choose money over me? I met her gaze. I chose dignity over being disposable, I replied. She stood abruptly. You're punishing me for marrying the wrong man, she snapped. I'm holding you responsible for your choices, I said, including silence. She left without the soup. The public line was crossed 2 days later. By her husband. I was at the building, reviewing maintenance logs, when he appeared in the lobby. Loud, red-faced, performative. Everyone should know what kind of landlord she is, he shouted, turning to the tenants. She's heartless. She did this to her own daughter. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't step back. You're trespassing, I said calmly. Please leave. You think you're powerful now? He sneered. You're alone. I looked around. At the tenants, watching. At the security camera blinking quietly above us. I'm not alone, I said. I'm documented. He laughed. Then he shoved a flyer into my hands. A screenshot of a post. My name, my photo, a caption accusing me of abuse. Defamation has a sound when it clicks into place. Like a lock. Thank you, I said, folding the paper. This helps. He frowned. Within an hour, my lawyer had it. Within a day, his lawyer did too. A cease and desist, followed by a formal complaint. Evidence included his own messages, witness statements, camera footage. The post archived. He took it down that night. Apology came later. Quiet ones. Expensive ones. My daughter called once more. This time, she didn't ask for help. She asked a question. Is there any way back? She whispered. I closed my eyes. Thought of the motel, the blanket, the hallway words. Yes, I said finally, but not to where we were. She inhaled sharply. Then where? Somewhere honest, I replied, where no one is fed at someone else's expense. She didn't answer. That night, I wrote a note and placed it in my files. Blood explains history. Boundaries decide the future. I didn't know yet whether she'd choose it, but I knew this. The last card they had played was guilt, and it didn't work anymore. The building calmed down before my family did. That surprised me. Once the noise faded, the flyers, the posts, the threats, what remained was routine. Repairs finished. The elevator stopped shuddering between floors. The lights in the stairwells stayed on. People adjusted. They always do when rules are clear. I instituted a standard policy across the building. No exceptions. No favors. No family discounts. Rent due on the 1st. Repairs logged and tracked. Meetings scheduled, not ambushed. Fair, firm, predictable. It made some people angry at first. Then it made them relax. My daughter and her husband paid the first increased rent late. With a fee. They paid the second on time. No words exchanged. Just transactions. I didn't see them for weeks. That was intentional. Not avoidance distance. Distance is how you let choices echo. One afternoon, the building manager stopped me in the lobby. Just so you know, he said carefully, Unit 4B asked about transferring to a smaller place when their lease is up. 4B, their unit. I nodded. That's reasonable. He hesitated. They also asked if there'd be any flexibility. I met his eyes. Not for that unit, I said. He understood. That night, my daughter emailed me. Not a text. An email. Formal. Thought out. I'm trying to understand what kind of relationship is possible now, she wrote. If any. I read it twice. Then I closed my laptop and slept on it. The next morning, I replied with 4 sentences. We can have a relationship without money in it, without housing in it, without silence in it. If that doesn't work, we can have distance. Her response came hours later. I don't know how to do that. That was the most honest thing she'd said in months. Meanwhile, the building began to change in small ways. A community board went up in the lobby. A shared garden took shape in the back lot. Tenants started saying hello instead of complaining. Ownership isn't about control. It's about stewardship. One evening, as I locked the office, a young woman approached me. "Are you really the owner?" she asked, half smiling. "Yes," I said. She hesitated. "I just wanted to say, thanks. This place feels safer now." I nodded. "That matters." It did. More than revenge ever could. My daughter called the following Sunday. Her voice sounded different. Tired. "Quieter?" "I'm thinking of moving," she said. "Separately." I didn't ask from whom. "I'm not asking you to help," she added quickly. "I just wanted you to know." I appreciated that. We met for coffee a week later. Neutral ground. No history in the walls. She didn't apologize. Not yet, but she didn't ask for anything either. That was progress. "I didn't realize how much I let him decide," she said at one point. "About you?" I stirred my coffee. "Now you do," I replied. She nodded. "I'm trying to decide what kind of person that makes me." I met her eyes. "That decision is still yours." As we stood to leave, she paused. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Not about money. Not about rent. About me? Yes," I said. "I am." And for the first time, I meant it without qualification. That night, I walked through the building one last time before heading home. Lights steady, doors closed. Everything where it belonged. Some people mistake revenge for destruction. I had learned it could also be construction. The lease renewal arrived in early spring. Thick envelope. Neutral language. A deadline that didn't care about feelings. Unit 4B had 60 days to decide. Renew at the new rate. Transfer to a smaller unit. Or leave. No exceptions. No extensions. My daughter asked to meet. Not by text. Not by email. By voice. "Can we talk?" she said. "Somewhere quiet." We chose a park, halfway between our homes. Public enough to keep us honest. Private enough to speak plainly. She arrived alone. No ring on her finger. That was new. "He doesn't want to move," she said after a long silence. "He says you're doing this on purpose." "I am," I replied. "Just not to him." She nodded. She understood the distinction now. "He says if we leave, it proves you won," she continued. "And if we stay, it proves you control us." I watched a pair of birds hop along the path, arguing over crumbs. "Those aren't the only options," I said. She looked at me, confused. "What are the others?" "You choose what you'll be part of," I said. "And what you won't." She swallowed. "He says I should stand by my husband." "And what do you say?" I asked. She didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, "I say I stood by him when he called you an extra mouth to feed, and I hated myself for it." The words landed between us, heavy and honest. "I asked him to apologize," she said. "He refused, said it would make him look weak." I nodded. "People confuse weakness with accountability." She exhaled. "I can't renew that lease with him." I waited. "Not as things are," she added. "I need space." There it was. The choice she'd been avoiding. We sat in silence while joggers passed and children laughed somewhere nearby. Life continued, unimpressed by our reckoning. "What happens if you move out?" she asked finally. "You move out," I said, "like anyone else." "And us?" she asked. "You and me." I met her eyes. "That depends on what you build without leaning on me," I replied. She nodded slowly. "I want to try." I believed her. Not because she said it. Because she didn't ask me to make it easier. The next week, Unit 4B submitted a transfer request. One name, not two. Her husband called me that night. For the first time, his voice wasn't loud. "You're tearing my family apart," he said. I spoke calmly. "No," I said. "I'm refusing to subsidize contempt." Silence. Then a click. My daughter moved into a smaller unit across town. No favors. No discounts. She paid her own deposit. Signed her own lease. The building felt different after that. Lighter. As if a storm had finally passed through instead of circling forever. A month later, she invited me to dinner. Her place. Her table. Food she cooked herself. No apologies yet. But no entitlement either. That mattered. As I left, she walked me to the door. "I don't know what the future looks like," she said. "That's all right," I replied. "Neither do I." She hesitated. "Do you think we can be okay?" I considered the question carefully. "Yes," I said. "If okay means honest." That night, I updated one more document. Not legal. Personal. A page titled Access. Who had it? Who didn't? Who might earn it back? Because boundaries aren't walls. They're doors. And doors can open, but only when the knocking changes. Owning the building changed more than my finances. It changed the way I stood in the world. For most of my life, I'd learned to make myself smaller, quieter, cheaper, easier to accommodate. That's what women of my generation were taught to do, especially mothers, especially widows. When my son-in-law called me an extra mouth to feed, it hurt not because it was cruel, but because, for one brief moment, I wondered if he was right. That moment ended everything. The building taught me something simple. Nothing thrives when it's treated like a burden. Not homes, not families, not people. Months passed. Tenants settled into routines. Repairs stayed ahead of complaints. The garden bloomed the way it always wanted to. I became known not as the old owner or the woman with the rent hike, but as someone fair, predictable, present. My daughter and I moved slowly, carefully. We didn't rebuild what we had. We built something new, smaller, stronger, honest. She never asked for money again. That mattered more than any apology. She paid her rent, paid her bills, learned what independence actually costs, and learned that dignity is worth it. One afternoon, she said something that told me we'd crossed the real line. "I don't want to be someone who survives by pushing others out," she said. I nodded. "Neither do I replied. Hair marriage didn't survive. Not because of me. Because contempt doesn't coexist well with accountability. People still ask if buying the building was revenge. I smile when they do. Revenge is emotional. What I did was structural. I didn't triple the rent to hurt my daughter. I did it to stop being hurt. I didn't buy the building to control her life. I bought it so no one could control mine again. The irony isn't lost on me. The woman they thought was an extra mouth became the foundation. The person they pushed out ended up holding the keys. But here's the truth most people miss. Power isn't about making others smaller. It's about never letting anyone make you smaller again. Today, I live comfortably, not extravagantly, comfortably enough to choose. Who comes in? Who stays out? Who pays rent? Who pays respect? And when I look at that building now, with its steady lights and open windows, I don't see revenge. I see proof. No one gets to decide I'm an expense. No one gets to decide I'm disposable. And no one, not family, not marriage, not guilt, gets to call me an extra mouth ever again. That was never the lesson I wanted to teach, but it was the one I was finally strong enough to live.